Hello team. Welcome back to another Line Warcast. This is your map. There's some water in the bottom. There's two oils on the land here. There's two oils in the ocean in the bottom. There's a huge landmass on the left side with only one oil. There's a trade route in the center, a city, and a handful of oils on the right side. Our two players are Safwan RD, who we'll call Safwan from now on. In blue, they're spawning here. I'm not sure where Wild Joker is. Okay, Wild Joker is in the north. So this past the barrage of farm noises, which is these three industries going down for Safwan. Safwan going to airport. There's so much action. I feel like all the noises, which sound great. Two airports, three industry, and a town out of Safwan immediately. Interesting to see what Joker does. Wild Joker, pardon me. I don't even know if I introduced them. Wild Joker's in red in the top right. They can't see Safwan right now. This is their vision. And Safwan can't see them by the same token. So, airport gas from Joker. Safwan spent a lot of money here. And a barracks factory from Joker. I don't even mind both these starts from both players. Safwan definitely going for a little bit of greed by going for the industry and the town first. Generally, we don't see towns being used with the industries used with the pre-construction money. This is something that someone said that my nickname sucks, who used to play in the old patch, had mentioned that it's not really that. Somehow the math doesn't make sense to make industries with your pre-construction money, but towns it's okay. Pre-construction money is you can start certain buildings with your first amount of money and they will build instantly. We can see like this striker's almost done on this leftmost airbase because it was built with pre-construction money, so it finished quicker. This rightmost airbase for Safwan is just starting the striker. At this point, both players will know that they are in for a wild ride, because this is a very close spawn given the size of this map. We can see there's so much of the map, right, that we went over that isn't being used. And it's all going to center around this mountain range and this forest. A barracks for Safwan, who is going double striker, which I really like, out of the airports. And right now, the advantage is definitely with Safwan, because Safwan's economy is 395 and Wild Joker's is 308. And it's a little bit misleading because Safwan put a bunch of money into industry. So they're not like, in some sense, they have less money because this industry hasn't paid off yet, all this economy. It takes about 7 minutes for it to do so. Wild Joker already has one helicopter, 3 barracks and 1 factory. So ideally, Wild Joker will have more units on the ground than Safwan could possibly have at the beginning of this game. I can stop moving the camera because it's obviously centering on this part of the map. Safwan's putting down a factory now, so certainly Safwan has a lot of potential in the next few minutes as this game ramps up. If they can keep the airports alive, I mean, if they can keep the airports alive and get like 5 strikers, then this game's over, because it's going to be very hard for Wild Joker to defend these buildings. Love this defensive line from Wild Joker in the mountains. And we see that it's working out quite well. 5 infantry from Safwan are going to run in. They're not going to trade well, even if they overrun the position. And Safwan's going a little bit aggressive in a game where they opened up economy. So this might come back to bite them, because generally if you open up economy like this, you want to play a little bit defensive, or at least not throw units away. Not that they're throwing units away or anything, but I don't know if this infantry is going to actually be able to pull this off, especially with 2 helicopters up already. I feel like this is going to be a very quick game. 3 strikers already, and they're just targeting this barracks, which I do like personally. I like this. Losing buildings in Line War is very painful. Yeah, that's a good start for Safwan. 491 income for Safwan and 368 for Wild Joker. So in some sense, Wild Joker has a timer. They either have to expand very quickly, way quicker than Safwan, or they need to get more greedy than Safwan, or just as greedy, but they obviously can't do that because they don't have the money. And so this is a great play. Trying to snipe this airport and pushing even from Wild Joker could be the play here, because look at how many units on the ground there are for both players. Clearly Wild Joker has more. especially before this factory and this other barracks gets online. Yes, Wild Joker's got the right idea because they're gonna push forward through this field, come down from the mountains, and try to take out this airport. We can see that there's a target command with 2 little trees. Means every single unit you can possibly have, like all the different unit types, are gonna try to attack this. Wild Joker's gonna win on the leftmost side in this forest because it's a 6v2. Safwan's got 4 strikers though, so this is going to be able to chip away at this infantry. I do believe they're going to lose this airport at least though, especially with the 2 artillery pieces making their way down. So I really like this push from Wild Joker. You can look at the income and Safwan definitely has more. So as long as Safwan doesn't lose probably this airport and then a gas and a factory and a barracks, they're going to come out on top here. Because ultimately their economy is going to allow them to do exactly what they're doing right now, which is build a barracks far enough back that by the time the units get here, this barracks is going to be able to produce and help push back all this stuff, and Safwan, pardon me, and Joker won't have the economy to compete with this. Safwan strikers are going to attack the artillery first by default, Sam's first by default, but then artillery next most like priority. Certainly, Safwan loses that airport. I wonder if they're going to lose the gas on the left of the screen there with those 6 infantry attacking the gas. If the infantry just focus fire the gas, they might be able to. What's funny is in a situation like this, I almost feel like attacking the airport is the most important thing. If Joker attacks the gas, it's not really going to matter. How am I trying to say this? It's an interesting question. Whether you attack the gas or the airport in this situation. Fortunately for Wild Joker, I think they're going to be able to get both. 3 helicopters from Wild Joker in the center just doing a great job, and this 3rd helicopter will actually get out of here, which is huge. And Joker's going to get the leftmost airport. So this kind of changes. So now Safwan's on 5 barracks, 1 factory, and a town with 3 industry, which still vastly outnumbers Wild Joker. So this is a wildly interesting game because it went from Safwan having a huge lead to, I almost wonder, like, can Joker afford to just stay back for a second? 392 income for Joker and 539 for Safwan, so certainly not. I think Joker has to keep pushing. I love these 3 commandos coming out of this rightmost barracks that is going straight to the town. Joker can't, well, I guess Joker can see the town now. So these 3 commandos, if they can snipe this town, that's huge. Very soon, this 5 barracks and 1 factory is going to kick in for Safwan, and they're going to have a big push. That is a lot of production in comparison to the 3 barracks and 1 factory of Joker. I know there's a 4th barracks on the way, but it's really not even close to being done. So this push is going to fail. Ultimately, this push down the middle might fail. If Joker can kill this Sam very quickly, these 2 Sams, I guess, without losing too many helicopters, they might be in a really good spot, but helicopters get shredded by Sams, as you can imagine. Commando's starting to do work on the bottom right. It's going to be an interesting question if they can snipe that. Luckily for Joker, I think they're not on the target command, so they're actually going to attack that infantry that's trying to defend the town, which is, I think, good because commandos in even numbers are going to be able to take on infantry. So ultimately, they are going to get that town. We saw Wild Joker lose one of the helicopters there. Very unfortunate. Losing that artillery piece is big, and this is what I mean by Safwan has a lot of production. 5 barracks is no joke, or 4 barracks or whatever. Yeah, 5 barracks and now a 2nd factory on the way. This is a big win for Joker if they can get that town in the bottom right, which I believe they will. This many infantry underneath the helicopters might actually be able to take down a helicopter. Thankfully, the helicopters get out of there in time. Safwan's following it up with a 3rd factory. Or, yeah, 3rd factory. and a barracks on the way for Joker, which I like. Perfect town snipe. These commandos could make themselves more useful either by sniping more factories or by just getting out of there in general. And one of the big things that has just happened in this game while I rambled about these commandos and different things is that Joker's only down to 2 helicopters now. Potentially 1 helicopter. Yeah, 1 helicopter. Look at that last hit. That's unbelievable. That's very unfortunate for Joker because now it's starting to look even worse. 1 helicopter to deal with all of this. The commandos are the big point, and I love this play by Joker to go around the back, but Safwan's done a good job to keep the buildings grouped up, which against commandos is one of the best plays you can make because the buildings will give vision. So when the buildings are grouped up like that, they'll actually be able to see the commandos and help the defending army clean up the commandos just by virtue of like exposing them, right? Because if we look at Safwan's vision, they're not going to see this commando on the right. But once this commando got close to a bunch of the buildings, they would be able to see it, and then the units would be able to attack it. This is a great fight. This 1 SAM for Safwan is doing a ton of work. I think I got 2, even maybe 3 helicopters. Very close game. 506 income for Safwan and 392 for Joker, who isn't capping anymore. There's 1 infantry capping on the left, but that's very tough. That being said, Safwan's not capping either. So both players kind of playing it, I don't want to use the word all in, but in some sense all in. There's no income on the way. Capping income, rather, for either player. They're just kind of throwing all their forces at this central location. Joker with 2 artillery pieces, that's hard to deal with if you're Safwan. Besides that infantry just sniping that 1 artillery piece, as I say that. But really, if Wild Joker can keep this artillery alive with infantry, by keeping the infantry in front of this artillery piece, this could be very strong, this push. Safwan's not really able to build much artillery just because of the helicopters. I guess with 5 SAMs, maybe Safwan could consider stopping SAM production, but otherwise I think this is exactly the way you would want to play it. Haste move out of the SAMs. This is a controversial thing. We can see the little boot with the 3 lines indicating that they're moving quick, which will make the SAMs move faster, but they lose HP. They get fatigued by doing this. I personally like it. I would prefer to have my SAMs close and be able to deal the damage that they just did. They took out 2 helicopters, and it doesn't really matter if they lose their health. If you keep them out of, you know, harm's way, they should be decent. One thing to note is as they're moving, they do less damage. A unit does damage proportional to how quick they move. Like they get a nerf to the damage they do. If they're moving, they do less damage, and if they're moving very quick, they do much less damage, sort of deal, roughly, right? So that's the only one thing about this haste command that kind of sucks. At this point, Safwan, I think, just has more production. It's 3 factory, 4 barracks against, what is this, 5 barrack, 1 factory, and 3 factories against 1 factory. That's pretty huge. Safwan building the town immediately again. I don't dislike this play at all. 506 income for Safwan, 416 for Joker. So Joker's coming back, but this artillery piece is going to go down. And I think in general they're just going to lose this front, and then Safwan's going to push all the way to the base. I love the idea of a defensive line. Unfortunately for Joker, this is probably too close because these units, when they dig in, they get fatigued because they have to use their little shovels to build little sandbags. And they get tired, and so they lose health. And so this is very quickly going to be overrun. I mean, and these units can't shoot back when they're digging, right? Yeah, this is just an overwhelming force now. 4 artillery pieces, a whole battery of SAMs, and a lot of infantry against this. I think Joker would have to even like fall back to this factory, barracks, and airport and put a defensive line in here. and just give up this barracks. It's a very tough spot for Joker. And to be fair, Joker was kind of put into a weird spot because if you see your opponent go for quick eco, like Safwan did, and you see like, okay, well, my opponent went for 3 industries and a town, it feels like you have to go all in. Like, it feels like you have to start attacking them if you don't have any economy that you can take yourself. And clearly we can see Joker had no other option here. Yeah, like this artillery is gonna walk into the thing and do its little shaking maneuver to try to... Oh, I guess it sits in front of sandbags anyway, so it deploys immediately. But no, unfortunately this isn't gonna work. I think Joker was gonna be in a lot of trouble before this defensive line, but especially with it, the units are just too focused on trying to get into the defensive line and they aren't actually attacking. Counterattack on the left side from Joker would be huge. If those 4 infantry could actually get ahead, get through here, and get on top of production, that would be big. And essentially dilute the forces, right? Because then Safwan has to start sending forces up to the north to deal with it and can't send them to the front. But it's tough. I think Joker's lost a lot of helicopters. There's no helicopters on the field. 5 SAMs is definitely enough to deal with them. I'm just here thinking how Joker could have done this better. I think Safwan played this well. 5 artillery pieces. 6, 7, 8, 9. This is certainly over. A great call from the commandos to try to attack here, but Safwan's got it locked down. They've got a garrison of units on the right side to deal with this. Helicopters are hard to use, especially when SAMs are out on the field. We can see how quickly they get taken out by SAMs, which are the coolest unit in the game. There's no debate, really. That's a fact. They sound the coolest, they look the coolest, the rockets look the coolest. What else is there to say? Joker's going for tanks now, which actually is very smart. There's a gas, right? Like, Joker has a gas. This is interesting. I actually wonder if Joker went immediately for tanks and had like 3 or 4 of them by now. I wonder how much damage they could do coming off this mountain. There's just so much for Safwan, though. And I don't think... yeah, so Joker's the only one capping. I guess Safwan's now starting to get capping in the bottom left by building this barracks. But Safwan's ahead on economy anyway. 536 versus 416, which is huge. Tanks would do pretty decent. Tanks against sieged up artillery, it's kind of hard to deal with. But let's see how this tank does. Really, I mean, this helicopter's going to do nothing, unfortunately. And, you know, using helicopters is very difficult. I'm not saying I would do any better, but I wonder if Joker would have more success moving the helicopter kind of over and then trying to attack down the side and, like, really stay out of the way of SAMs. Tank didn't really do much just because of the overwhelming units. I mean, really, that's like 1 infantry, 5, or 3 infantry, 5 SAMs, and a handful of artillery that are attacking the tank. And Safwan's getting up on the production on the right side. 1 artillery piece there is going to be huge, especially because these infantry are going to have to move through the mountains. All units go slower through mountains and forests. And so with this artillery piece, it just gets to hang out here and attack these infantry. And even if the red infantry were to kill the blue infantry relatively quick, it takes them forever to get to the artillery piece. Yeah, we can look at both players' lines to get an idea for what they're thinking. Safwan's capping with a big push, and Joker's more in defensive mode, which is understandable. Good game. That was a whirlwind, and I definitely missed a lot while casting it, but I hope you enjoyed it. Props to Safwan for posting this in the Discord. Props to Joker I mean, I think that was a pretty good defense. Very tough game to to come back from, especially given, you see the town and economy like we talked about. But well played, good game. Join the Line War Discord if you're interested in learning more about the game. You can check out Twitch. There's a few folks that stream it. I stream it the same handle as YouTube, SodaQuackers. We'll see you there. What's up, folks? Enjoy your night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, whatever it is. We'll see you soon. Peace.